Good afternoon, everyone. This is the part two of translation by Miss Sona. Now over to Sona.
Thank you, ma'am. So now in elongation, we'll start with the first step, that is binding of amino acid tRNA to A site. So under that, the ATS initiation complex containing with tRNA in the P site, and now the A site is free. Another amino acid tRNA is placed in the A site. Require proper codon recognition on mRNA and involvement of elongation factor 1A and supply of GTP. The amino acid tRNA is placed in A site. Elongation factor 1A and GDP are recycled to bring another amino acid tRNA. Here, as we know, two sites, that is A site and P sites, are filled with tRNA. Next slide. So in the second step, that is the peptide bond formation, transferase enzyme catalyzes the formation of peptide bond. Now the net result of peptide bond formation is the attachment of the growing polypeptide chain to the tRNA in the A site. So the next and the last step is the translocation. The ribosome moves to the next codon of mRNA. This is called translocation, that is towards the 3' end. It involves movement of growing peptide chain from A site to P site. Translocation requires elongation factor 2 and GTP. GTP gets hydrolyzed and supplies energy to move the mRNA. The elongation factor 2 and GTP complex recycles for translocation. So in the elongation, as we know that there is a peptide bond formation between the amino acids. So after a polypeptide bond formation, the empty tRNA exists from the E site and new tRNA will enter the A site. Next slide. So in this step, in this picture, you can see how there is a recycling and how the formation of peptide takes place. Next. So the lastmost step of the eukaryotic translation is the termination. So once the stop codons, that is the UAA, UAG or UGA, terminates the growing peptide chain. When the ribosome encounters a stop codon, there is no tRNA available to bind it. As we saw in the prokaryotes, there is no tRNA which has the ability to encounter a stop codon. So instead, a release factor binds instead of tRNA. So this release factor involves, that is LRF. In eukaryotes, ERF recognizes all three stop codons and ERF3 stimulate the termination events. Once the release factor binds, the ribosome unit falls apart, releasing the large and smaller subunit. The tRNA carrying the polypeptide is also released, freeing up the polypeptide product. So, as we got the polypeptide chain are connected with the peptide bond in the termination, as any stop signals are observed by stop codons are observed, the release factor binds to the A site of the ribosome and it removes all the tRNA, the polypeptide chain, and also it also separates the ribosome, that is 60S and 40S. Next slide. So in this step, you can see at the A site, you'll encounter a release factors with GTP. After the encountering, there is a removal of polypeptide chain. The blue color is the largest subunit of ribosome, and green color thing is the tRNA, and it removes everything. The release factor releases all the factors, all the release factors, and all the tRNA, ribosome, and polypeptide. Next slide. So this is the overall view of eukaryotic translation. There is the initiation, and elongation occurs in 3 steps. As I said, that is recycling, that is amino acid incorporation, peptidyl transferase function, and ribosomal translocation. Then there is termination. After termination, the removed, that is the separated subunits, again it moves to the initiation process. That there is also a recycling. Next slide. So now we have all learned about the prokaryotic and eukaryotic translation. So let's now move on to the next topic, that is similarities in prokaryotic and eukaryotic translation. Both the groups uses mRNA as template. As we saw, both groups are using same mRNAs, but the only difference is in the sequences like Shine-Dalgarno in prokaryotes, Kozak in eukaryotes. In both groups, mRNA is synthesized from the genetic material DNA. As we know, always mRNA is always synthesized by the genetic material DNA. Ribosome is protein synthesis machinery in both the groups. So there is difference in the type of ribosome, that is 70S type or 80S type, but the ribosome are same. All 20 amino acids are same in both groups. All the 61 codons are similar in both groups. Here I have written 61 instead of 64 because the remaining 3 are the stop codons. In both the groups, protein synthesis occurs in the cytoplasm. Next. So after the similarities, now we'll know about some differences between the prokaryotic and eukaryotic translation. So first let's move on to the prokaryotic. Transcription and translation are continuous, both occurs simultaneously in the cytoplasm. Whereas in eukaryotes, both are separate process. Transcription occurs in nucleus while the translation occurs in the cytoplasm. In prokaryotes, 5' mRNA is immediately available for translation. Whereas in eukaryotes, the primary transcript is processed after transcription and sent to the cytoplasm, and then only the cytoplasmic ribosome can initiate the translation. As we know, the eukaryotic mRNA undergoes post-transcriptional modification. Next slide. In prokaryotes, the ribosome are 70S type, whereas in eukaryotes that is 80S type. In prokaryotes, 70S ribosome is composed of 50S and 30S. In eukaryotes, that is 60S and 40S subunits. In prokaryotes, 50S subunits as 36 proteins plus 5S rRNA and 23S rRNA. In 30S subunit, it has 21 proteins, 60S rRNA. And in eukaryotes, 60S subunit has 5S, 5.8S, 28S rRNA plus nearly 49 proteins. 40S subunit has 18S rRNA plus nearly 33 proteins. In prokaryotes, endoplasmic reticulum is absent, so protein synthesizing ribosome are freely distributed in the cytoplasm. Whereas in eukaryotes, endoplasmic reticulum is present, protein synthesizing ribosome are attached to the endoplasmic reticulum. In prokaryotes, mRNA is usually polycistronic, whereas in eukaryotes, mRNA is always monocistronic. In prokaryotes, mRNA acts as a template for the synthesis of many polypeptides. Whereas in eukaryotes, mRNA acts as template for synthesizing only one polypeptide. Next slide. In prokaryotes, only one type of translation initiation mechanism takes place, that is cap independent. Whereas in eukaryotes, it is of two types, that is cap dependent and cap independent. In prokaryotes, many have many start sites and Shine-Dalgarno sequence along mRNA. But whereas in eukaryotes, it has only one site located towards the 5' region of mRNA, that is the Kozak sequence. In prokaryotes, initiation codon is usually AUG, occasionally GUG or UUG. Whereas in eukaryotes, initiation codon is usually AUG and occasionally GUG or CUG. Smaller subunit of ribosome recognizes the Shine-Dalgarno sequence in mRNA during the translation initiation. Whereas in eukaryotes, smaller subunit of ribosome recognizes 5' cap of mRNA during initiation. In prokaryotes, the first tRNA is special to type, namely met tRNA, whereas in eukaryotes, there is no special type of met tRNA, it's always only the met tRNA. In prokaryotes, first amino acid in protein synthesis will be formilated, but in eukaryotes, there is no formylation of methionine. In prokaryotes, the initiation factors required are IF1, 2, and 3, whereas in eukaryotes, the initiation factor required are IF1, 2, 3, 4, 5A, 5B, and 6. In prokaryotes, the elongation factors are TU and TS, whereas in eukaryotes, the elongation factors are EF1 and EF2. In prokaryotes, EFG is also there, but the major function will be of TU and TS. Next, in prokaryotes, the speed of translation is 20 amino acids per second, whereas in eukaryotes, it is nearly 1 amino acid per second. Termination involves 3 release factors in prokaryotes, that is RF1, 2, and 3. Termination factors is facilitated by only one release factor in eukaryotes, that is RF1. The lifespan of mRNA is short, few seconds to few minutes in prokaryotes, whereas in eukaryotes, the lifespan of mRNA is long. It may be few hours to a day, or sometimes it will be more than that. In prokaryotes, IF3 prevents association of ribosomal subunit in the absence of initiation complex, whereas in eukaryotes, elongation factor 3 prevents association of ribosomal subunits in absence of initiation complex. In prokaryotes, post-translational modification takes place in cytoplasm, whereas in eukaryotes, post-translational modification of proteins usually takes place in endoplasmic reticulum or in Golgi's complex, or sometimes also in cytoplasm. So these are the differences, similarities, mechanism, definitions, and a brief about the central dogma. After the translation, so the proteins, the form polypeptide chain form requires some alteration, that is the called as the post-translational modification. So we'll brief about post-translational modification. So post-translational modification refers to any alteration in the amino acid sequence of protein after its synthesis. It may involve the modification of amino acid chain, the amino acid side chain, terminal chain, or carboxyl group by the means of covalent or enzymatic means following the protein biosynthesis. Generally, these modifications influence the structure, stability, activity, cellular localization, or substrate specificity of the protein. The post-translational modification provides complexity to the proteome for diverse function with limited number of genes. Post-translational modification mainly occurs in endoplasmic reticulum of the cell, but sometimes occurs in cytoplasm of the cell. Translated proteins various methods such as phosphorylation, glycosylation, ADP ribosylation, hydroxylation, and addition of other groups. So the raw polypeptide sequence undergoes post-translational modification so that it becomes a active protein. Next slide. So these are the references where I took the information. Next slide. So thank you everyone. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Miss Sona. Now I request Ruchita to present a talk on post-translational modification. Over to Ruchita.
Good afternoon, one and all. I am Ruchita from second year CZBT, KVSS Nijalingappa College. I am thankful for Pratibha ma'am for giving this opportunity to present my seminar. Let's move on to our seminar. My seminar topic is post-translational modification of protein. In this, we will study about translation, protein modification, post-translation modification, significance of PTM, and types of PTM. PTM is post-translational modification. First, what is translation? Is the process of synthesis of proteins takes place on ribosomes. Three-letter nucleotide sequence on mRNA is translated into the amino sequence of proteins. Requires the involvement of mRNA, tRNA, and rRNA. Protein modifications. There are two types of modifications. First is post-translational modification and post-translational modification. Co-translational modification takes place during translation, and where post-translational modification takes place after the translation. In our topic is main focus on post-translational modification, that is PTM. In this, we'll focus on definition, significance, and classification. First, what is PTM? Means post-translational modification. It is the chemical modification of protein after its translation. Key role in functional proteomics. Proteomics means systematic analysis of proteins present in cells at a given time under given conditions. They regulate activity, localization, and interaction with other cellular molecules such as protein, nucleic acids, lipids, and cofactors. What PTM includes? Removal of a part of translated protein means trimming. If we have long chain means we will trim that and we will make it as short. It's called trimming. Next, chemical modification in translated protein. Next, degradation of modified proteins. When and why does PTM takes place? Takes place anytime in a life cycle of protein. Mechanism to increase proteome diversity. Immediately after translation to favor folding or increase stability. To direct a nascent protein to its destination, activates or inactivate catalytic activity. To tag for degradation of denatured altered proteins. Significance of proteins. Generates heterogeneity proteins. Heterogeneity means addition of carbohydrates, lipids, or other adducts into the protein, polypeptides, polypeptides, or changes in the backbone amino acids. Essential for the study of diseases and its treatment. Play a role in prevention of disease and therapy. Needed for tagging and degradation of proteins which have lost structure and function. Types of protein. Trimming, as I said before, it's trimming, covalent modification, and protein degradation. Trimming means shortening of peptide chains to activate. Covalent modification means chemical modification of amino acids catalyzed by a set of enzymes. Protein degradation means degradation of altered, denatured proteins. First, trimming takes place in endoplasmic reticulum or Golgi complex and in some other organelles. Is activated by proteolytic cleavage by special endoproteases. Activates a large functionally inactive precursor molecule to functional protein. Examples of trimming: proenzyme activation of digestion enzyme of GIT. Pepsinogen to pepsin. If pepsinogen is there, we'll trim that and it's modified into pepsin to prevent auto-digestion of secretory glands. Activation of prohormones, pre-proinsulin to proinsulin and to insulin. Second type is covalent modification. Modification by covalent attachment of chemical groups. Some are reversible. Example, phosphorylation of enzyme. Some are reversible means we can add pH group or we can remove that. It's called reversible. Some are irreversible. Example, hydroxylation during collagen biosynthesis. Some modifications are catalyzed by specific enzymes. Example, HAT catalyzes acetylation of lysine, residus of histones. Some modifications are non-enzymatic and spontaneous. Example, glycation of hemoglobin. Under covalent modification, these subunits will come: phosphorylation, methylation, acetylation, ubiquitination, isoprenylation, glycosylation, proteolization. First type is phosphorylation. Most important and abundant type of PTM. As I said, it is reversible process. You can see this image. In this, we can add pH group and we can remove pH group. When we add pH group to the protein, it becomes inactive. When we remove the pH group from the protein, it becomes active. Plays a crucial role in cell cycle growth, apoptosis, signal transduction of hormones, regulates enzyme protein activity, addition of phosphate group to the serine, threonine, and tyrosine. Second type is glycosylation. PTM that helps in protein folding, conformation, compartmentalization, and stability to proteins. Addition of oligosaccharide chains to proteins. End-linked and O-linked. That is okay. Addition to ASN residus. O-linked means addition to serine, tyrosine, and hydroxyl. Seen in proteins destined to be membrane protein secreted out of the cell. See, end-linked glycan is attached to the this serine and tyrosine, and O-linked is a glycan attached to the serine and tyrosine. Next type is hydroxylation. Hydroxylation of proline and lysine residues in procollagen. Vitamin C dependent and enhanced triple helix conformation in collagen, stabilize collagen by favoring cross-linking between fibers. Facilitates glycosylation on collagen. We have proline. When hydroxylase takes place, it becomes hydroxyproline. Same as in lysine also. We have lysine and hydroxylase takes place, and hydroxylin it is modified into hydroxylin. Next type is carboxylation. Vitamin K dependent gamma carboxylation of glutamate residue to gamma carboxyglutamate. Activation of clotting factors. Clotting factors is second, 7, 9, and 10. Help in calcium chelation to hasten clotting process. Carboxylation of glutamate. Glutamate side chains are covered to gamma carboxyglutamate in factors 7, 9, and 10. And protodin. The two carboxyls of gamma carboxyglutamate chelate Ca2+. This is an example of post-translation modification. Carboxylation of glutamate is example for post-translation modification. Next type is biotinylation. Addition of biotin to amino group of lysine residues of carboxylases. Biotin acts as pro-cysteine group and a coenzyme for carboxylases. Next type is acetylation. N-terminal lysine residue of histones are acetylated by HAT. It is histone acetyl transferases. It is reversible process. Affect gene expression through chromatin, remolding, remove positive charge of histone, provides access to transcription factor, favors gene expression. Is a type of epigenetic change, a heritable change in DNA that will alter gene expression without altering DNA base sequence. It is reversible process. Next is lipidation. Addition of palmitoyl, farnesyl, and myristoyl and prenyl groups increase protein affinity to membrane by making it hydrophobic. Seen as PTM for protein distinct of ER, it is endoplasmic reticulum, mitochondrial, or plasma membrane. Example, palmitylation of for GPI anchor protein to tether to cell surface proteins of plasma membrane. These are under the acetylation, under the lipidation. Next, last type is protein degradation. Misfolded defective proteins undergo PTM by ubiquitination. Ubiquitin is a cytosolic globular non-enzymic protein. Glycine residue of ubiquitin covalently attaches to the NH2 of lysine of target proteins. Ubiquitinated proteins are degraded by cytosolic proteinases, proteasomes. It is an irreversible type of PTM. Ubiquitin proteasome pathway. Ubiquitin is a 76th amino acid polypeptide. Ubiquitin targets the protein for rapid proteolysis. Ubiquitin molecule attached to the carboxy terminal amino acid, which is glycine, to the amino group of lysine in protein to interest. Several types of enzymes like E1, E2, E3 work together to add ubiquitin to proteins. A structure called proteasome recognizes the ubiquitin aided protein and degrades it. Ubiquitination is multi-step process. That is, when E1 called ubiquitin activation enzyme activates carboxy terminus of ubiquitin by reaction with ATP, the resulting ubiquitin AMP then splits the reaction and attaches to ubiquitin E1. E2, ubiquitin conjugation enzyme, and E3 called ubiquitin ligase work in concert with A1 to add ubiquitin to target protein. Most cells containing single type of E1 but several type of E2 and E3. Specific E3 recognize and binds the particular target protein as well as E2 enzyme. Ubiquitin transfers from E1 to E2 and their target protein helps by E2 and this process repeated several times to form chains of ubiquitin to target protein. Such polyubiquitin aided proteins are recognized by the ubiquitin chains and degraded by the proteasomes, which is large multi subunits protease complex. The process of engage with proteasome with protein and required energy from ATP hydrolysis inside the proteasome, the target protein is degraded to small peptide released in the process so that can be used in another cycle. Protein degradation. Two mechanisms of protein degradation: proteasome, barrel-shaped multi-protein complex in cytoplasm. Protein to be degraded first tagged with ubiquitin attached to lysine side chain of protein. This ubiquitin. Okay. Clinical relevance of protein. Absence, deficiency, or excess of protein can trigger autoimmunity. Proteins modified by PTM may trigger an autoimmune response. PTM is said to have a role in rheumatoid arthritis, systemic lupus. This is the reference where I could collect information. Stay safe and stay home. Thank you.
Thank you, Ruchita. Thank you, Ms. Sona, for the presentation on translation and post-translation modification. Thank you, everyone. I, Dr. Pratibha K, signing off for the day. Stay tuned with us. I will be back with some more videos. Thank you. Thank you, dear students.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.